Hey, I'm Alex Hyman. This is Becky Hyman. We have been married for almost 24 years. We work together, and it's just been an interesting journey. And we just want to have conversation about it because so many times we get people ask, how in the world do you guys work together? You're married and you work together. How do you do that? So we just want to have conversations about our life and eventually even interview or have conversations with others.
Oh, yeah.
About what's going on in their life.
So let's start at the beginning. So I met Alex when I was 18. That's like many moons ago, but it seems like just yesterday. And found out that his family owned their own business and his dad needed some help. So he called me and he was like, and here I am, 18 years old, scared to death, only worked in a grocery store before. And he brings me into his office and he's like, now this is what I want you to do. And this is my thoughts on it. And you and Alex are dating. I'm sure you remember this conversation really well because I came out of his office terrified. And he was like, now, if y'all go wrong or something happens, you know who has to go. And I'm like, yes, sir, me.
But on the flip side of that story, probably 10 years after we'd been married, Dad and Becky and I, we were sitting around just eating lunch. And he jokingly said, now, Alex, y'all have a great marriage and everything's going well. But if anything ever happens, you know who's going to be the first to go. And he was talking to me, his own son.
I want him over. Yay. So, and here we are.
Here we are. Oh my gosh. Almost 24 years of marriage.
It's been a journey. It's been a great journey. It really has.
Yeah, I mean,
lots of stories.
Oh my gosh. There's so many stories we could tell, about here at the studio and just
at home.
Crazy stuff that we've done because of work. I remember when we first got married, come back off of our honeymoon. We went on a cruise, so we come back off of our honeymoon. We're in the airport getting ready to come home. I didn't even have a cell phone then.
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, so I went to a payphone and called. Do y'all even remember that? Or some of you may not even know what payphones are. It's a relic. I remember he was like, what time's your plane land? And I'm like, we go home at 6 o'clock. He's like, great, here's what we need done. They need these portraits delivered tomorrow morning. It's for a group that's out of town and you need those portraits delivered. We come in from our honeymoon and went right to work.
Yeah.
And we did that a lot. There was a lot of times, especially at Christmas, owning a portrait studio that between Thanksgiving and Christmas is super busy for us. And so before kids, we would
get in our pajamas, come to the studio after eating dinner, and just work all night.
We would work 2, 3, and sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, just to get things done. But this is what we do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
But now things are a lot different now that we have kids.
Absolutely. I remember a story, to share a story with you on things like this is we just had Philip. And these are the things that you do, but you figure these things out. But we had just had Philip, just got home, and I knew this was coming. Alex had scheduled a wedding. It was like one of those things, and I was scared to death. First time mom, and here goes my husband out the door, and I'm by myself. I'm not really by myself. His mom came and stayed with me. But these are the things that we do when you own your own business. But it's worth it. It really, truly is. And balance is hard.
Yeah.
No matter what. Whether you're a couple where you go your separate ways during the day because you have different jobs or whether you're with each other 24/7, balance is hard. And I learned a long time ago that there's really not true balance. There's just busy seasons in your life. And that's one thing that's been really hard to stay intentional is teaching ourselves balance or busy seasons of life, and also teaching our kids that there's times to, I always tell our kids, we play real hard because we work real hard. These are the things that we do, and there's times in our year where we have to work really hard, and they have to have that understanding that me and Dad has to be at work a lot. But they understand this. They're starting to understand this as they get older. It was harder when they were younger.
One of my favorite sayings is work like a captain and play like a pirate. And honestly, that's what we do. We work really hard, but we also play hard. And we spend a lot of time with the kids. I mean, matter of fact, here it is, first of the year, and we're already making plans for the fun stuff we're going to do next Christmas, because we always go on a little trip, just a couple of days. So we're already kind of planning that with the kids, and they're excited. Becky, what do you think, because those seasons of life, and we talk about the work-life balance, how it somewhat is a fallacy. It's just not true.
Right.
But what are some of the things as a mom that you strive to do so you can have that balance? Or
Well, my love language is travel. I love to plan. But really going on the trips is awesome. Once we get there, it's really awesome. But it's the planning part that gets me going. And I think what is necessary for me is when I step out of the office is to cut it off and be intentional and be present with the kids. That's something that I strive to do. I'm not perfect at it, obviously, but that's something that I think is necessary. So planning these trips is something that I can be present and intentional with our family and something to look forward to. But on a daily basis, it's really making sure that I'm not talking business all the time in front of the kids, because they absolutely love that. And they will call us out on it when that happens. They know we talk a lot about it, but they will call us out on it. And that's something that we have to be intentional about, is making sure that when we leave the office, that it stays at the office the majority of the time. And when we know we want to talk about business at home, we kind of prep our kids, hey, this is what we're going to do, but we're not going to talk about it all the time.
But one thing about that, we've always given our kids permission to, it's okay to call out mom and dad. If we're talking business,
too much,
it's okay to call us out. So that's one thing I think is important, because we talk about the work-life balance being a fallacy. But one thing that I think greatly helps with the life and work is boundaries. We have boundaries in our family, we have boundaries in our marriage, and we have boundaries in our business. Sometimes those boundaries, they get a little blurred. Sometimes they get they get narrowed and they get widened in certain seasons.
But I think that keeps us balanced, is knowing those boundaries and when to reel it in and all that good stuff. That's been something we've had to work on over the years, and make sure that we don't cross those boundaries completely and give ourselves grace, a lot of grace.
Yep.
Because we're not perfect. We're not experts with marriage or anything, but we are experts at how we experience our life together. And that's something that we want to share through these videos and conversations that we're having. Speaking of conversations, that's something that we have every morning.
Yeah. I've always gotten up early.
And I hate it.
Yes, she hates it. But just like in the excellent movie Star Wars, I brought her over to the dark side. Literally, when I say dark side, 5 a.m.
Yes, it's dark.
So, yeah, we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we sit and have a cup of coffee, and we sit, and we don't cut on the news. We don't cut on the TV. We just sit and have conversation with each other over coffee. And that conversation there's nothing off limits at all. That conversation may be mainly talked about the kids or work or just really anything.
Be something stupid that we experienced the previous day. I mean, that gets us laughing and rolling. But I mean, we joke around that I hate mornings, but I will tell you that over the years, these coffee conversations have been very rewarding. It really sets the tone for the entire day. I honestly can tell you that when we don't sit down and take an hour to an hour and a half before the kids wake up to actually have these conversations, I can tell when we don't, because my day doesn't go as well. It really doesn't. And that takes lots of being intentional with each other.
So that's one thing that we can really dive into. Mm-hmm. What are two more things that you see us talking about in these conversations?
Well, we talk about our children.
I mean, what do you see us talking about in these conversations that we're going to put on YouTube?
Oh. Well, I mean, we're parents. Our children are 15 and 13. Heaven help us all. But they're going through a completely different stage in their lives, and we're experiencing that. And these are the things that we can share as far as what we're experiencing through these teenage years. Those conversations have completely changed from when they were toddlers to elementary school to now teenagers. So these are the conversations that I'd love to share with our viewers. And there again, we're not experts, but we want to learn from each other. So I want to share our experience with that, and being a mom who works full time, with my husband all the time. There again, how are we intentional with each other? I want to share and learn from others on how they're intentional with each other. So, I mean, this is kind of one of those things that it's a safe place to share.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I absolutely love about being a portrait photographer and photographing families is when families come in, we hear what they do as families. We sometimes hear about their boundaries as a family and some of their traditions. I really feel like over the course of our children's life, boundaries, conversation, and just being together, that's what builds your legacy that your kids will carry on into their children and grandchildren. By having boundaries and conversation and just being together, you're building legacy. You're having that legacy that your kids will carry on for the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
I got to emphasize with legacy, it has to be healthy.
Yep.
It has to be a healthy legacy. So, I mean, these are just some of the conversations that I'm looking forward to having. And I'm not always going to have a conversation with you. We may have conversations with other people in the community on how they find that the type of boundaries they have in their business and with their kids. So I'm looking forward to that, also having conversations with others.
It's definitely going to be fun.
Yeah, we look forward to just chatting with you guys in the coming weeks and months and years. So,
Yay.
thanks.
Thank you.